At this point, Mike was still kind of busy with logistics and showing midwives where to find things and stuff like that. And I remember just thinking, like, I need him to be here now. Like, I need him with me. About 7 o'clock, I got into the pool. He got in with me, and that really helped. So from about 7 o'clock until the water cooled off, which I think was around 9 o'clock, of course, like, my memories and my perception of time, you know, during, you know, when I'm in labor land, like, are kind of muddy. But I don't know. It was a very active labor. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be moving around a lot. That's what felt good to me. So I was like moving around the room, you know, swaying. Mike was in the pool with me. Basically, I had total freedom of movement, and I used just about every position out there. But the things that felt good to me were standing and swaying. I needed, because of my back labor, I needed a lot of counter pressure on the top of my sacrum, or like that clothespin move where, you know, Mike or one of my midwives would press on either side of my hips at the same time, sort of like pinching them together during contractions. So I really needed a lot of strong pressure in that area during contractions. Sitting on the yoga ball, squatting, and being on my hands and knees at this point all felt terrible. They just made everything feel 10 times worse. All this time, Alice was coming in and out with our friend, and she really did amazing. I had done a lot of prep with her, watching birth videos, and we had done a lot of talking about the things that I might experience, the things that she might see and hear, and what that means at age 2.5. She did not get freaked out by anything until maybe at the very, very end when she was super overtired. She was coming to say goodnight to me. And I think that at that point, because she was so exhausted, that it was just like too much for her to handle at that point. But she didn't get upset or anything. She didn't seem like confused. She wasn't in any way like disturbed the next day or at any point. So we have no regrets about how we did that. So during this whole time, again, details are a little bit fuzzy, but one of my midwives was using homeopathy, you know, giving me certain things under the tongue to either like speed up and sort of support my labor at various points or to relax me. She was also using aromatherapy, using essential oils. Again, I don't remember like what was what and when things happened, but I just remember her telling me, you know, this will help, blah, 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 relax, or this will help you continue, whatever. I was drinking water with lime juice in it and coconut water. The only thing I wanted to eat, oddly enough, was Starburst candy. I remember having a lemon Starburst and cherry Starburst, and just like eating little tiny bits of them. I just felt like that's all I could stomach, and that was exactly what I needed. It's kind of weird, but it tasted perfect at the time. So around 9 o'clock, the water had cooled to the point that it wasn't really helping me anymore. I felt like I needed a bathroom break. So I got out of the pool, and that half an hour waiting for the pool to get warmed up was very, very hard labor. I went to the bathroom and I knew that sitting on the toilet was going to be really intense, and it definitely was. My back pain at this point was just the most intense it ever was. And I just sort of zoned out. I just kind of couldn't cope. I laid down on the bed on my side, and I was just completely in labor land, just kind of like semi-aware of what people were saying to me, and just riding out each contraction, just kind of like going with it and just completely wrapped up. At 9:30, I got back in the pool. I feel like at that point I was probably complete dilation-wise. I think I was probably at a 10 at that point. I got back in the pool, and I was kneeling and kind of leaning on the side, and my contractions started feeling different. They were still in my back. It was still the same amount of sort of intensity, but I just felt like more of a bearing down sensation. And at this point, my midwife asked, "How do you want to catch your baby? Like, let's get into that position." And I was shocked. I was like, seriously? We're there? Like, this is really going to happen in the next few minutes? And she said, yeah. But that wasn't true. So I myself could feel the baby's head probably 1 inch in. And then there was also the bag of waters that had not broken. And I could feel that, you know, I could feel the baby's head right underneath that sort of bulging bag. So August came to join me, if you hear his little noises. Say hi, Munchkin. So basically, my conclusion is my body does not like to push. I had a very hard time pushing with Alice, and it was unfortunately the same. I didn't learn anything about how to make it easier this time around. Even though I was spontaneously pushing, you know, when I felt the urge, I was just letting my body do what it was going to do. I wasn't like coached or forced or anything. A lot of people describe getting to pushing, they feel like relief, you know, and it's a better feeling for them than just dealing with contractions. But for me, it was exactly the same, maybe even worse. Nothing got easier. So I was there in the pool, laboring, pushing, you know, feeling the baby's head sort of ready to crown for a full hour. And about 10:30, I could just feel that nothing had changed. The baby's head had not gotten any closer. I was using a lot of visualizations and sort of mantras that I had practiced and kind of come up with ahead of time during this time, just to keep myself kind of motivated and focused and, you know, trying to like will the baby to be moving down. I started getting worried that I was getting too exhausted and that like there was no progress. So I asked for my midwife to check me, and she said, well, I have to check you. You have to get out of the water for me to check you. And I knew in the back of my mind that if I got out, I wasn't going to get back in. So I knew that deciding to get out and get checked at that point, for me, this is just what I knew like about myself, that I was basically deciding to not have a water birth. But I felt like at that point, I knew that's what I needed. I felt like I needed the all clear. I needed to know that everything, you know, felt okay to her, and that part of the baby wasn't stuck somehow, that I didn't have a lip of cervix still there. There wasn't anything like holding me back. And I also felt like gravity could probably help me. So I decided to get out of the pool, like I said, knowing that that was giving up the water birth that I had hoped for. But I definitely think it was the right decision. So she checked me, and sure enough, I was 10 centimeters, nothing holding me back, no cervical lip, no issues. So I tried a bunch of different positions on the bed, but it didn't change anything. It didn't really make anything feel better either. So ironically, just like in Alice's birth, the position that felt best to me was sort of on my back in a semi-reclined position with my knees up. I know that it's not considered generally a favorable position for most women. I'm telling you, that's what felt the best to me, and it is the only way that I got the baby to move down effectively. My midwife suggested that maybe she feels like I have a really low pubic bone. So she thought that maybe that position helps the baby, like the shoulders engage in the right way, you know, at that point in labor or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I did start making very, very slow progress. I was watching in a mirror. I felt really sharp pain again on the right side, the right front side of my pelvis. I just felt like something was kind of askew, or that, you know, there was just, I don't know, something like there. Something about the way the baby's head was positioned or something, but I just felt a lot more pressure and pain on one side. I had a hard time isolating the right muscles to really push effectively again. I don't know, my body does not like pushing, that's all I can say. So all this time, my water still hasn't broken. I could feel the waters bulging, like we were joking that it was like a snow globe being inflated every time. And I would see this bubble basically like inflate. But then when the contraction would end and I would stop actively pushing, you know, it would just completely like deflate again. And the baby's head itself was not moving forward. So I was basically just like inflating this balloon over and over again. But there was no suction on like the head itself. So my midwife suggested manually breaking my waters. She said it's something that she very, very rarely ever does, but in this case, she thought that it would really help. I was reluctant to do it. I wish I hadn't felt it was necessary, but I do think it was. We did do it, and right away, like the head started moving. I think I could have just been in that limbo of, you know, basically pushing water instead of head for a lot longer and gotten more exhausted and had more problems. So I wish I would have been able to see if he would be born in the call. I think that's really neat. You know, I wish that things could have sort of gone naturally to that degree, but like I said, I think we made the right decision.